It's a few minutes past, so maybe we'll get started. Thanks so much for coming out today, and apologies up front that usually I do 4 of these every spring on each campus, and this year it got compressed to 1 because of the 200th and my schedule and all kinds of other things going on. Let me up front just say a couple of things, immediate kind of breaking news, I guess. Last night, some of you will have heard about this fire on our ag campus. It's very disappointing again, of course. The Cox building, which was one of our main teaching and research buildings on that campus, a fire broke out on the rooftop late last night, and the fire department, Bible Hill Fire Department, has done a great job containing it. They were on the site for quite a few hours because I guess the fire, as it got into the roof, also got into the insulation, and so that's why it took quite a while. And that means there's a lot of water and a lot of water damage. Fortunately, number one, most important thing, no one was hurt, and that's always the most important thing on our campus. So thanks to the first responders and our gratitude that nobody was injured. In terms of the impact, the fire marshal will be investigating the site, and then depending on when it's cleared, we'll then be able to go in and determine what the remediation plan is. So we expect that there might be an impact on September. It's too early to say. But folks are already working away on that. In fact, a few people can't be here today because people like VP Finance Ian Dason are up in Truro. General Counsel, our counsel, John Hope, is headed up there. I've had a chance to speak to Dean Gray and offer all of our collective support, to say the full administrative financial support of Dal is behind him as we mitigate and get behind that. So expect more news and updates. Second, I just want to talk about my own bittersweet news. So thank you all for your well wishes and comments. I'm excited on the one hand to head up into this new role in January. Still 6 months. You're not getting rid of me quite that quick. A little more than 6 months away to take up the directorship of this new Quantum Valley Ideas Lab, which is looking at developing, doing more. It's a new independent research laboratory looking at quantum technologies and developing the next generation quantum technologies, founded by BlackBerry co-founders Mike Lazaridis and Doug Freegan. So it kind of takes me back to my roots as a physicist. I'm excited about it. But I want to say it obviously is very bittersweet. I'm so proud of the things that we've done together as a community, and today it's so timely because I get a chance to talk about some of those things that we've achieved together and the great momentum. I want to thank you all for your well wishes. The response has been so positive that VP Peter Fardy was teasing me, saying maybe people really wanted to get rid of you after all. I don't know. So thank you for those wonderful wonderful thoughts and wishes. So let me talk to you about where we're at as a community, what's happening at our university. It's been a terrific year. For me, as I reflect on the last 5 years, we had a couple of years of investment. We had some of work kind of tilling the soil, if I can go with that agriculture kind of a metaphor. We had some challenges as a campus. But we've addressed those challenges and some of the opportunities in the very same way, which is to go back to our mission of teaching, research, and service, go back to our fundamental values: academic freedom, respect, freedom of inquiry, diversity and inclusion. And because we've met those challenges and opportunities in the same way, it's left us with some really incredible results, particularly in the last couple of years. And some of the headlines. 2016, the largest federal research grant in the country. Record enrollment, record fundraising. You'll see this year, record research income. Great improvements in retention. And we're finally starting to close the gap on some of those diversity measures. So reporting for the first time this year, for example, with Indigenous faculty and staff, we're finally closing the gap with labor market participation. So I just, I'll get in. I've got a stack of papers because you know me, I love data. I'm going to tell you lots of stories and data about what's been happening and some good stories and video. But I hope that you'll take from this what we're able to achieve together as a community, because that's really what this is all about, is we've come together in common cause in a whole range of initiatives that have strengthened Dal, but also strengthen our region, and I think credibly our country, and even the world when you think of its issues like ocean sustainability. So let's get into it. So just a reminder, I show this every year. This is the cycle. This is how universities work, how communities like ours work. It's a process of listening first, right? What are the facts? What are we facing as a community? What's the reality? What are our hopes and aspirations? We collectively defined a strategic direction. Board and Senate approved, the bicameral governance structure of the university approved where we wanted to go. We then started to assign out, and the different teams, and many of you in this room would have been involved in many of those strategic initiatives, to take shared action. But then we measure and report. So we're accountable back to ourselves, to our community. I'm accountable back to you through things like these town halls, where we can refine, reflect on our direction, and make even more progress. The heart of it, those 5 kind of pieces, are the elements of our strategic direction. The three in the middle are our timeless mission of the university. Teaching and research, or first teaching, right? That transformation of lives through higher education. Second, research and scholarly work, that creation of new knowledge, both for its own right and its application to broader society. And third, service, the impact on community. The fact that connections to community give impact to our teaching and research, but also inform them, right? A great example of that is thinking about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, right? That call to indigenize our curriculum, so that teaching isn't just about what we do out in the world, it's about what we bring back from the world back into the classroom to strengthen the learning environment and create better citizens and better students. And it's underpinned by two other categories, partnerships and reputation. We know nobody does anything alone, so we need partners, we need a strong reputation, and people, infrastructure, and support, right? Can't do anything without all of you. We need buildings. Buildings aren't always the most important thing, but they're important, and there's something we have to add to. So that's the framework, those 5 elements. So as in past years, I'll be walking through them. First off, I just want to introduce, this is a chance for you to engage not just with me, but members of the senior executive team. So I'll just introduce some of them. I mentioned VP Finance Ian Nason is already off in Truro, so he sends his regrets. But I think Susan Robertson, our AVP Finance, is here. Susan, stand up and give a wave to folks so they see where you are. Wonderful. Our Provost and Vice President Academic, Carolyn Waters, who is leaving us at the end of June. Carolyn, why don't you stand up and wave? We've had such a terrific send-off for her in the art gallery a few days ago, and a terrific group showed up. I will say right now to folks that our search for the new Provost and VP Academic is really going well. We've got an exceptional large pool of candidates, of excellent candidates that reflects a lot of the progress we've made. And as that progress continues, Carolyn has agreed just to serve just another month in July as we complete. So we'll expect to hear more. Thank you, Carolyn, for another month. Yeah, thank you. Carolyn, you got the first round of applause. You should be very pleased with that. Our Vice President of Research, Alice Aiken, stand up and give a wave. Wonderful to have Alice. She's been a year in the office, and oh my goodness, one of the goals we set as a team, we always sit down and put on one page at the beginning of the year what our goals are as an executive team, and one of them was, I'm paraphrasing, but it was ensure a good transition and integration of Alice. My goodness, we didn't need to even put that down because it happened instantaneously, and Alice has just been a phenomenal leader and has contributed to so much of the success that you'll hear today. Vice President of Advancement Peter Fardy, fundraising, alumni relations. Again, you want to hear some record fundraising, you want to hear about a record year in the annual fund, and that's Peter and his team. Who else have I got here? Associate Vice President of Communications and Marketing, Catherine Bagnall-Stiles, right beside him. And so a lot of our success, you'll hear our first year enrollment, our new marketing strategy and approach has had great success. That's under Catherine's leadership. Our AVP Government Relations, Sarah Daniels, I saw her at the back. Give her a wave. There's Sarah at the very back. Thank you, Sarah, for being here and continuing to foster that great support for government. And you'll hear about that today through things like the Ocean Supercluster. The other member around the executive table, in case I'm missing anyone else, Susan Brousseau, our University Secretary, but I think Susan's still off campus. I don't think she's here today. I see a nods. And maybe I'll finally say, because she's the power behind me, my Chief of Staff, Martha Casey. Stand up and give a wave, Martha, come on. Yeah, you gotta do that, there you go. Okay, so let's get into it. So Aaron, if you could flip to the next. So those are the 5 areas, right? So this is the same as the 5 I mentioned: teaching and learning, research, service, partnerships, reputation, people, infrastructure, and support. So let's start with teaching and learning. The heart of our mission, right? And Aaron, you can just jump into the next one. This is where it all starts, right? That's what it's all about, and certainly to the external community, that's why we're here. That transformation of lives through higher education, preparing those students. We had some wonderful outcomes this year. We had our 91st Rhodes Scholar. Isn't that incredible? 90 Jensen, an engineering student, really wonderful, and she took part in our 200th launch in February. We had some other real highlights I want to mention. Martha Painter, who's pictured up there, is a nursing student who was named a 3M National Student Fellow, Dal's 3rd in 3 years. In athletics, we had so many wonderful outcomes. One player I want to mention was volleyball player Anna Dunn-Suin was named a top 8 academic All-Canadian. And I love this volleyball squad, our women's volleyball squad. It's the 6th straight year they're AUS champions. 6th straight year. And I love that because these students, students like Anna, academic All-Canadian means they maintain a very high academic performance while performing varsity athletics. And I have to say, in the 5 years I've been here, those varsity athletes who do that, who excel in both academics and athletics, I find them really inspiring because of the dedication and the commitment they make, not just to that, but to community service as well. We had a cross-disciplinary team of students who won the world's first, or rather the first World's Challenge at Western, which was pitching ideas that would have a profound impact in international development. And you also remember that we had Rick Mercer on campus this year, and that was because the Golden Key Society won nationally Rick's Spread the Net Challenge, which was raising money for mosquito nets for malaria, and they were the best in the country, and so that's why we were featured in one of the episodes of the Mercer Report, which was a whole lot of fun. I even got to put on my basketball gear. They didn't make me shoot any hoops though. In terms of support for students, so we've had great success for our students. So now the question is, what have we done this year to support them, right? What else have we done to support them? Well, there's been a lot of effort. You all know the increasing attention on mental health. It's important. Our students are under increasing strain. We see the demand, increased wait times. So I'm very pleased to report, of course, we launched our professional health model, including walk-in counseling, to help meet our goal of same-day mental health support. And what it meant, and this is really important because I know this has been talked about the last few years, but we've actually seen it fall, is the reduced wait time for psychological services. So in our first term, September, December, the wait list dropped from 191 students last year to 24. So remarkable, and there's a lot that goes behind that. Resources, new ways of working, integrated teams coming together in new ways so that you have social workers working with counselors. It's been a topic of great interest and importance. And so I'm just so pleased to see that progress. In fact, why don't we give those staff a round of applause, because we of course are an academic institution. We have to pay attention to our academic programs, so we have to support our students along the way, right? That's our obligation, frankly, the trust they place in us. We completed our new sexualized violence policy, which was approved by Senate and is going to the board this month, so that's another progress. I want to mention here faculty awards. I don't have a slide on it, but every year I'm so thrilled to celebrate our faculty. And in fact, one of the things we did as an administration, I was talking about this last night, is that we hired an awards facilitator, because Dalhousians, like Canadians, aren't very good at promoting themselves, right? And so one of the reasons, for example, you saw Dal faculty win Canada's Top Science Prize 3 times in the last 5 years, is we're trying to put more effort in promoting our great faculty, right? Because that's important. It raises the reputation of the institution, but those role models, when we elevate one another among our midst, it raises all our aspirations. So I want to mention 8 very quickly. 8 of our faculty that were really recognized this year in a brief list. First off, Jocelyn Downey, Order of Canada, wonderful, right? Royal Society of Canada, Julia Wright, who's English and is in English and the DFA president-elect. She was inducted as a fellow in the RSC, as well as Dr. Marshall Campbell-Yeo, who was appointed into the College of New Scholars, Artists, and Scientists in the Royal Society. So this is the top academic society in Canada. Our Fastine, Frank Harvey, I don't know if it's Frank here, he can give a wave. I thought I saw him walk in. I saw him last night, political science. He held a prestigious Fulbright research chair at Yale earlier this semester, so we gave him a bit of a leave, and we were so proud to support that, one of the world's great universities. Anne-Marie Ryan, in her sciences, won the Atlantic Association of Universities Teaching Leadership Award, and I was so pleased to hear her speak and be part of that award for her. Dr. Pat McGraw and Patricia Lingley-Potty in medicine received the Governor General's Award for Innovation. Again, these are a new set of national awards, only a half dozen given out every year. Jeff Dawn won it a couple of years ago, and so Pat and Patricia, it was great to see them win it. Professor Tagrid Abu Hassan in French received the Order of the French Academic Palms. Jeff Hutchings in biology received the A.G. Huntsman Award for Excellence in Marine Science. And Joseph Zwanziger in physics, Joseph Zwanziger received the 2018 Stacy Award from NSERC. Let's give them all a round of applause. It's just so great to And if I can leave you with a thought, nominate people, nominate yourself, nominate your colleagues. We suffer a little bit from our shyness and modesty, and we hide our light, and we shouldn't. It's an injustice, right? Not to tell the world the kinds of things that our great institution is doing, so don't be shy about doing that. I want to talk a little bit about retention. Was that on this slide or next one, Aaron? Yeah, so you'll know, sometimes I've talked about our strategic direction as being about 4 R's. Retention, research, return to society, and respect. I've been very focused on retention because it's about our obligation to our students. There's times when students academically don't succeed in a program, and that's part of the journey, right? Maybe the program isn't right for them, and that's fine. The part that I've been concerned about and tried to draw attention to, and all of us have drawn attention to it the last 5 years, is when students leave for non-academic reasons. right? That should cause us to pause and ask questions. So if a student's doing fine academically but not succeeding at Dal or drops out or leaves, we should be asking ourselves questions. Are we living up to our obligations to that student? What else can we do to support them? So we've had a multi-year effort. I won't go into all the detail here, with the leadership of Fiona Black, who I don't think is here, and Carolyn Waters, and lots of people in this room. And I'm very pleased to say that retention, first to second year retention rate overall hasn't moved that much in the whole institution. It's really moved in a few faculties, including engineering, as the strongest growth. But probably the most exciting thing for me is as we've gotten underneath that problem, donors, and we've discovered solutions, donors have really stepped up. They've invested about $10 million towards that program. And we've used it to launch a pilot called the On Track program. It's based out of the Business Student Center. Maybe some of you here are involved in that. And that pilot, here's what it showed. We had students who were at risk, who our research showed, have a lesser chance of succeeding. The students in that group who didn't participate in On Track, the retention was only 58%, meaning only 58% of them came back the second year. The students who did take part in this pilot, funded by our donors, informed by our research, the retention was 81%, 23 points higher than the control group. What a phenomenal result. And that's real lives that we've made a difference in, that students that can come back. And I'm so pleased to see it. I'm proud. My wife, I'm going to embarrass her. My wife, Mona Holmlin, who's a prof in history, is here. Give a wave, Mona. Come on, don't be embarrassed. We played our own little minor role in this. We launched we put $50,000 into a microbursary fund because I learned in the US that sometimes $200 or $500 at the right time can make a difference. And we issued a challenge to the university to match to the community, and that $50,000 donation was matched not once or twice, but 3 times. We raised over $165,000. So thank you to all of you who contributed to that. It's not as big as some of our big donors, Peter, but it's our way of helping, and I loved seeing the engagement from the community in that initiative. I will say before I leave retention, of course, enrollment and recruitment are really important. It's stable this year. People will probably kill me for giving this away, but it's looking really good for next year. The new from high school is remarkably high. I guess I won't say numbers so I don't get myself into too much trouble. But it's looking really positive across the board from all markets into our direct entry faculty. So that's wonderful to see. And again, it's a testament to what you're all doing, right? When people want to come to Dal, when they want to donate to Dal, it's because they believe in what we're doing and what all of you are doing. The academic programs, 10 programs received full accreditation in 2017. We had 27 program reviews completed. Dal has a really robust quality assurance system, better than I've seen at other universities in terms of ensuring our academic quality, so that's always strong. We had 4 new programs approved. I think you see them listed up. Maybe they're not listed up there. PhD in Ag Sciences, Master of Science in Business, BA in Cinema and Media Studies, and a minor in Creative Writing. Okay, I'm taking up too much time, aren't I? Aaron, okay. So I want to make sure to leave enough time for questions. So before I go to our second area, teaching and learning, there's always so much to talk about. But for each of these sections, I have a short video. Today is National Indigenous Peoples Day in Canada. So it's so timely that in teaching, what we're going to highlight is some of the work we're doing as part of the TRC calls to action, specifically calls to action 24 and 28, that call on us to not just indigenize our curriculum, but put understanding of treaty rights into training for professionals, for law, medicine, health professionals, because if you're going to serve those communities as a Canadian, you need to have some understanding of the issues. So here's the video. It's on the Aboriginal and Indigenous Law and Context course in the law school, which is really leading the way here in Dalhousie in terms of the response to the calls to action in the curriculum. So please.
So the goal of the course is essentially twofold. One aspect of it is to introduce non-Aboriginal students to the history and practice of colonisation in Canada, and particularly how the legal system has been complicitous in those processes of colonisation. The second aspect was to introduce some aspects of Indigenous law for students who are from an Indigenous background, so to have a sense of at least feeling a little bit at home in the Schiller School of Law at Dalhousie University.
We have a fundamental responsibility to make sure that we are promoting reconciliation, and this course helps us do just that.
Overall, there was 170 students in the course. This is a mandatory 2-credit course for all the students in first year, and it's the first thing that they experience as they walk into Dalhousie University's law school.
I think it's really important because they will, in any number of capacities as future lawyers or policymakers make decisions or help their clients make decisions that are going to impact the lives of Indigenous people. And because of that, they've got to know what the law is, but they also need to know the history and the context and how that informs the situation.
It was important to me to see, you know, kind of other people's perspectives as well as learn a lot. I didn't know everything. Even though I am Indigenous, there's still lots to learn. And I feel like this course taught me a lot. Everyone is really proud of this course.
The best moments I've had are when students have come to talk to me to say how meaningful it has been to them. It's things like that that have really, that tell me that we're on the right track.
It's great to see that work. I want to emphasize one other story on that might not be so apparent. You know, I'm sure you're sick of me saying nobody does anything alone and the importance of collaboration. But the way this has all happened, right? It took the TRC, it took a community willing to step up and talk about that injustice across the country. That's a national issue. But then for this to take action at Dal, it obviously took the faculty and the dean, but it also took the support of donors, because you'll notice Naomi Metallic, who's one of the key faculty supporting this, she's the Chancellor's Chair in Indigenous Law and Policy. And her position was made possible through the generous donation of our Chancellor, the Honourable A.M. McCain, the former Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, right? So it's this kind of intersection of support when we can come together in community on our biggest opportunities and challenges that we can really move the needle, right? And that's just a wonderful example. Let me switch to research, and I don't want to do it injustice, Alice, but I guess I better pick up the pace. So in 1718, our total research funding at Dalhousie was more than 20 million greater than the prior year. It was a record for Dalhousie at $156 million, the best year in our history. Congratulations. Yeah. Now that, of course, I'm tipping my hat to Alice, but she knows and I know that it's all due to our faculty, right? Because these are peer-reviewed grants, these are partnerships, and it comes out of the great scholarship of our faculty. That's the only reason it happens. We try to support it and sustain it and stimulate it as administrators, but that's where it comes from. The big jump in part came from our big CFREF award 2 years ago. Remember in 2016, we won the largest federal research grant in the country, $94 million for our Ocean Frontier Institute. A great result. We've also had some success with CFI. Some other highlights, you know, that I've mentioned this partnership thing again. We rank third in the U15 in industry-funded research per faculty member. That's a really important strength to build upon. You know that our region suffers from relatively low GDP growth, from low population growth. That's something that we've tried to address, both to feed our student interest in entrepreneurship, but also to support through partnerships like the Supercluster or the Idea Innovation Project. But that partnership is a really powerful base for us to build on, and it shows the further potential of this institution to act as a catalyst for the social, cultural, and economic growth of our community, right? Because we have faculty who are doing such great research with industry. How do we translate that and continue to build on it for the benefit of all? The big funding announcements, I'll give you a few highlights. $28 million in federal, provincial, and private support, from the private being from IBM, for Deep Sense Ocean Analytics. IBM is really creating a world center for ocean data here at Dalhousie with that investment. $22 million in collaborative team projects through CFI. $1.65 million each for NSERC Create grants in bioactives and chemistry and aquatic systems training and civil engineering, and $2.5 million over 5 years for our Children and Youth Refugee Research Coalition. Remember this project? This is our response to the Syrian refugee crisis. We said, wait, we can do some research if we're bringing these kids in from in these very difficult refugee situations. How do we ensure the longitudinal research that can support the policy to help them really have a successful landing inside Canada? Well, that caught attention across the nation, but then internationally, because the Germans and others started to partner with us. So again, it's a way where Dal is moving the needle in the world on a really important issue. And boy, I don't want to be political, but what a contrast when we hear about kids, how they're being treated in some other countries, refugee children. So I'm really proud of that. Kudos to all of you. Government funding results, we have 5 new Tier 2 Canada Research Chairs, 4 of them new hires, 3 Tier 1 renewals. Tri-Council, we're going to have to keep our attention on Tri-Council success. Remember, that's the gold standard in research income because it's the international standard peer-reviewed Tri-Council, CIHR, NSERC, SSHRC. CIHR, we've had some increase in success rates from 10 to 12.8%. The problem there is that that's an abysmally low success rate across the country. It's a structural issue, has to do with the restructuring and the lack of funding in CIHR. So Dal is doing just fine relative to its peers, but there's a real national issue that I've been working, and others, Alice and others have been working nationally on, that we hope to see some progress, especially out of the federal government's new budget. SSHRC, great success rate, 55% versus 39% in prior year. A little softness in NSERC from 71 to 62. And NSERC, those success rates are quite high because the structure of the grants is different from CHR. They tend to do more smaller, broader grants. In terms of our research impact, I want to give you a highlight of the year ahead before I flip to the video. We, you know of our expertise in ocean science, and I'm going to say a little bit more about that, where we really brought the best of the region together with the best of the world, and we're leading the world in some really innovative partnerships and collaborations like OFI and the Supercluster. One of the things that Alice and David Anderson, our Dean of Medicine, and I have been saying increasingly is health is the new oceans. What do I mean by that? Half of our research income has always been in health. We live in a region that has multiple health challenges, health outcomes, physician shortage issues, but also in terms of the outcomes of the region, obesity, smoking, other kinds of health outcomes that aren't great. We also know that health expenditure is among the largest portion of the provincial budget in Nova Scotia of any other province. So the question becomes, how can we make health the new oceans? How can we bring our expertise to bear, just like we have in oceans, our expertise to bear in a way that brings together the best of the region, the best in the world, that finds some intersection between these local issues and our capacity and the global challenges, and to do some great things. There is, if you don't mind me saying, Alice, there's a nascent proposal called IRIS, which is a, remind me the I, what's the I again? In IRIS? The Integrated Health Research and Innovation Strategy. I'm sorry if I'm making you nervous by announcing this, but it is an idea that's being talked about, and what we mean by integrated is how can we bring together all the players, the health system, the university, government, and donors, to do something catalytic in the Nova Scotia health system that moves the needle the way we've done it in oceans. So I mention that because I want you to think about it. It's something that we'll be continuing to work on in the year ahead. And we're going to need the community support the way we did in oceans. So I hope you don't mind me mentioning it, Alice. I always get in trouble for saying too much. So throw to the video. Okay, here was a really big, exciting outcome in research, which I didn't get to mention till now. Canada won 50 research chairs. The federal government of Canada came to us as university presidents last year and said, you know, we think it's a time, given some of the global uncertainty, that Canada can capture more great research talent. We want to capture some more stars. What do you think about a new chairs program to capture some superstars? They launched the Canada 150 program. It had, I think in total, was it 35, the total number of chairs, but only 7 of them, sorry? 26, but only 7 of them were these very large chairs that were $7 million. And Dalhousie won one of only 7 across the country of these $7 million chairs. The awardee was Dr. Kate O'Brien, a global leader. We poached her from Johns Hopkins. She's got Nova Scotia roots. She already has a house in, well, I guess I won't say, but it's in Nova Scotia. Where? But Kate, she's fabulous, a global leader in vaccines and in global health. She's just been phenomenal. She's been on campus this week. She may still be here, but let's cut to the video so you can learn a little bit more about that.
The Canada 150 Research Chair Program was launched by the country in its 150th year in order to attract world-class researchers back to the very hospitable research environment in Canada.
My research is really about making vaccines available to the children around the world who most need them.
Not only is she a top researcher in the world, she's one of the top Canada 150 chairs in Canada.
Kate will be able to build upon an area of major research strength for us at Dalhousie, and that being in the field of vaccinology.
Vaccines are one of the most powerful public health tools that we have globally. Canada has a presence in that global stage in vaccinology, and I hope to be able to contribute to that.
She will also be able to assist and greatly enhance the development of research activity in global health.
I'm really looking forward to meeting the other scientists who are working on vaccines and developing collaborations with them so that we can advance vaccines on the global stage.
What a great success. Again, a real sterling example of what we can do and what we can aspire to at Dal, right? That we can compete and attract the best in the world and help to address issues that matter here at home. I can't resist another round of applause. Thank you, Alice, for your work on that, David. Yeah, it's so fantastic. Okay, I think I was supposed to be done by now and I'm only halfway through, but I'll keep going. Okay. Let me turn to the third area, service. So again, 3 timeless pillars of the university's mission: teaching, research, service. Service is such a broad category, right? It embodies our connections to the community, the way that we assist the community. It also includes how the community engages back with us through things like community engaged research. So let me hit a few pieces. The first off is, of course, in the student experience. One element of service is how we connect our students to the community through experiential and work integrated learning, a real topic of priority at Dal. And by the way, here we've tried to plug us into, there's a real strong national interest in this. You would have seen it mentioned in the federal budget. It's been a hot topic among Canada's CEOs, and we're trying to leverage that momentum to improve the experience for our students. So we added 57 new co-op placements this year for a total of it's 2,000 we're at now, so that 57 is just the growth. So we have 2,000, we're at 2,000 placements, 3% growth, which is great to see. 100% of our students now who are in our direct entry undergrad programs continue to have access to experiential learning opportunities. So that means not just learning in the classroom, depending on your discipline, could be on the stage, could be in could be in a laboratory, could be in a company, in a co-op placement, and 89% of them took advantage of that last year. So we're giving our students not just a world-class, accredited, high-quality experience in the classroom, but we're giving them those experiential opportunities as well. 23% of our students participate in work integrated learning, and 48 of our 51 accredited programs now provide work integrated learning opportunities. So that's really great to see. Entrepreneurship, innovation, commercialization. This is an area that the outside world is asking us to do more on, right? Given economic challenges, given that we live in an age of knowledge and innovation, what more can the university do to act as a catalyst? It's also something that our students are asking for. And in fact, most of our successes at Dal have come when we've built around our student appetite, where students are keen. So this year we launched the Creative Destruction Lab Atlantic, which was based out of the Rose School of Business. And that's something that came out of U of T. They selected us as one of 4 expansion sites in Canada. And that's to connect entrepreneurs and business leaders to mentor startups. We had 28 companies participate in the launch, and that's been really successful. I had a chance to attend the kind of final wrap-up in Toronto just a week or 2 ago, and our Atlantic Canadian students and companies were among the best, got the most interest and support from investors in Toronto. It was really exciting to see. We were the top ranked, and I just want to mention that also is Atlantic wide. Again, this is our duty as Dal. We're the research university for Atlantic Canada. So when we undertake initiatives like this, like Creative Destruction Lab, we want to open them up. So I remember seeing the stats earlier. I don't have them here, but we have students from St. FX, from SMU, from Dal, from MUN. We even have students from Ontario who've come out here because they're interested in clean energy, who've come to participate in CDL. So that's wonderful to see. Community support and volunteerism. Of course, we connect with our community in ways that are much deeper than just economics. Social work, 161 clients. Our legal aid clinic, 362 new client files, 8 new community files. Our dental clinic. Right? I always talk about the dental clinic every year because for me it's just that real example of that intersection between teaching and service. Because our students need experience, right? But they can also provide services to marginalized communities. And they took 21,287 appointments in the community this year. What a phenomenal impact, if you think about it, in Halifax, the community the service they're giving to underserved communities. Our camps, this is the time of year when we see lots of short ones running around the campus, which is great. Supernova Science Outreach had 63 on-campus camp programs. Thanks, Dean Moore. Faculty of Science has been phenomenal with Supernova, 944 registrants. Emotep's Legacy Academy, which won our first ever President's Award last night for diversity and inclusion. And that tries to is supporting African Nova Scotian Indigenous students into science. They had 450 participants and at least 30 grads who are currently studying at Dal. Again, the notion of partnership, that sits inside the university, but it's supported by a great partnership with TD, who provides scholarships for many of these students. Plans, which is our initiative to encourage African Nova Scotians into health professions. 24 alumni are currently enrolled in post-secondary programs, which is great. So congratulations to those folks. And we had a new March break camp hosted by Medicine's Indigenous Health Program to get more Indigenous students into the Faculty of Medicine. So lots of incredible things happening in service, and I can't even give you a snapshot of them because every unit at Dal is involved in community engagement in one way, as are all of you through your volunteer efforts in the community. The biggest one, you'll excuse me for focusing the video on kind of the biggest bang out of all of this, but a big bang for us this year was the Ocean Supercluster. You'll remember that 2 years ago we put together a partnership of $220 million for the Ocean Frontier Institute, which is Dal-led, but it's got 3 of the 4 Atlantic provinces, 19 companies, 4 of the top 5 ocean institutes in the world, all working together, and nearly $250 million for research in ocean sustainability. Well, this year, we built on that momentum by catalyzing and working with partners to bring together, really being a leader in creating Canada's Ocean Supercluster. It was one of only 5 superclusters across the country that were awarded, and its goal is, so underpinned by the kind of research happening in OFI, but now you take all of that research happening in other companies and issues facing a whole range of companies, from fisheries to energy to aquaculture, and you're trying to bring them together in new ways to develop new products, new markets, and frankly, new economic growth for the country. It's a private sector-led initiative, so Dal is supportive of it. It will lead as it spins off projects. It will provide opportunities for our students and our faculty, both for research and for employment. But the scale of this thing has become really incredible. If you can flip to the next slide, Aaron. It's now involves over 70 organizations. Sorry? Oh, it's not, the slide is not, okay, it'll come out of the video. But so I'll jump to the video. But in total, it's now, the numbers aren't finalized, but I can tell you it'll be north of $300 million. With every public dollar more than matched by a private dollar, 70 organizations. And again, if I can draw the link back to our OFI, that means in the last 2 years, Dal has been a critical partner in attracting over $500 million in ocean-related research and development to our region, which is a wonderful tribute. It's a fit with our mission. It strengthens Dalhousie, but critically strengthens our city, our province, and our region on a topic, ocean sustainability, that's important to the world. So with that, let's cut to the video on the Ocean Supercluster.
The Ocean Supercluster is a platform for collaborative R&D that brings ocean industries and innovators together to tackle shared challenges. The vision that we've set is to establish the ocean economy as one of the most valuable and sustainable segments of the Canadian economy. And the way that we want to do that is to build a highly connected ocean innovation ecosystem.
And in the Ivany report, we concluded that our very survival was on the line. We have to change the way we do things. Dalhousie, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, has been quite central to helping make that happen.
This is very much about working together with the strengths that we have. If the ocean economy in Canada grows, it's going to grow as a knowledge economy, and it's going to need smart, skilled, talented people. And Dalhousie is in the business of producing smart people.
It really was Dalhousie that brought the group of founders together and caused the discussion to happen. It was quite clear that we had something that we could do together that would actually be impactful for the whole region.
I think we got to give a round of applause to folks like Alice, Sarah, Matt, Chris Moore. There's so many folks involved in this, and again, I thought there was a slide because it's another presentation I'm working on. When you put the logos of everyone involved, it just fills the entire page. Let me turn to the 4th area, partnerships and reputation. Partnerships involve, Dal is ranked as one of the most international universities in the world. We have a terrific number of collaborations. Some of the new ones, just the raw numbers this year, 40 new partnerships internationally, including 20 renewals, and they're in 21 countries. We have 253 active agreements with international partners. Our alumni network around the world now stands at about 135,000. I mentioned fundraising, which is an important metric, just over 40 million raised in external philanthropic support, including 9 large gifts of $1 million or more, which is wonderful. And I'll mention that one area we had a record total is in our annual giving campaign. And those are the kind of the smaller but very important gifts from a broad base of alumni. So we're seeing large gifts, but what we're seeing is our alumni engagement. Our annual giving campaign reached $4.5 million, which is the largest number ever in terms of really the community, that grassroots fundraising. So that's wonderful to see. Of course, the money goes directly to help our students and our faculty. but it's also a measure of the support for all of us and what we're trying to do in the direction we're going in Dal. And we mark this year 50 years of the Killam Trusts, which is one of the most transformative gifts, not just to Dal 50 years ago, but to Canadian research. And that gift, and actually we're going to be doing a bit more work with the Killam Trust to promote and add profile to Killam, because if you go half a century ago, that gift was really catalytic in creating the Dalhousie we are today. In terms of honors, awards, achievements, other internationally, the Schulich School of Law was ranked among the top 100 law schools in the world for the first time. Times Higher Education, top 100, that deserves a round of applause for sure, right? I got it, yeah. And Dal appeared in the top 200 in 6 subject areas, including Earth and Marine Sciences, where Dal ranks in the top 100 in the world in the QS ranking. So it's great to see us recognized in that area. So the video I'm going to throw to one of our major themes this year has, of course, been our 200th anniversary. A chance to celebrate our success, our chance to thank those who've helped us along the way, and a chance to dream a little bit about what's next for us as a community. It's been a phenomenal set of events led by our Associate Vice President, Catherine Bagnall-Stiles, Communications and Marketing, who's been working tirelessly on this with a great committee of faculty and staff and students over the last couple of years. But without further ado, let me turn it over to a video on the Dal 200th.
So there have been lots of surprises along the way with the 200th anniversary. The thing that has surprised and delighted me the most, hands down, is the way people across this campus and community have worked together.
The 200th is a little bit different than stuff we've done before, and I think people will find it's a more unexpected approach at events and celebrations than Dal has had before, so it's a really great opportunity to get involved and just see a new side of Dal, a really forward-looking side. It's just a great chance for everyone to come together.
And for me, it has been incredibly rewarding to hear the stories and to see the reaction of alumni and friends, to know that they are part of not only our history, but our future.
I hope to see Dal in another 200 years continuing to grow and prosper and strive to be the best at everything they do.
I would like to say thank you for your ideas. Thank you for coming out. If you haven't participated, visit dal200.ca and come out and do something, because there is lots and lots and lots to be done. And then finally, there's probably still a few surprises up our sleeve, so more to come.
Thank you, Catherine. You know, so big kudos to Catherine. This has been amazing, the whole package of things. But I also want you to join me in giving a round of applause to our great alumni relations leader and new Associate Vice President, Sheila Blair-Reid, because just before, to hold the applause for a second, the reason why is our alumni engagement in this has been phenomenal. These events, we've had 3 times the number of alumni come out that we normally get. The engagement has just been wonderful. Sheila, you've gotten to know me quite well by riding on a bus together across the country with my family, but thank you, Sheila, for all that and the alumni engagement. It's really great. Yeah. What fun that's been. So finally, let me turn to people, infrastructure, and support. Saving maybe the best for last. Look, people are the most important thing. I know it sounds like a truism, but you know, you can have great buildings, but if you don't have great people, the university will fail. And we had a chance to recognize that last night, actually, with our AVP HR, Jasmine Walsh, has introduced these a new set of awards where we consolidate into one event many of the scattered faculty and staff awards across campus, and we had that in the Cohen last night, and it was just fantastic. I'm very pleased to say that we met. One of the metrics we follow is how many of our first choice candidates we recruit, particularly in faculty hires. Because a great university, I can tell you across the country, there's a lot of universities in the sort of the battle for talent. They have trouble attracting people. They may have more money than us, but they don't have the character and community, and they frankly don't have the attractiveness of Halifax, Nova Scotia. And so it's one of the things that we've tracked here carefully, and I'm very pleased to see that this year, again, we recruited 95% of our first choice candidates agreed to come to Dal. And again, that's a great testament to what you all do, because people will apply for a job, often they'll back out, and I've seen it in other institutions. But here, 9.5 times out of 10, they follow through and join us, which is great. We created the Talent Pathways program to address employment and systemic barriers and provide opportunities for new and existing talent to grow their careers at Dal. Some highlights from our diversity and inclusion strategy. Okay, so that's been a big, go back to my 4 R's. The fourth R was respect and inclusion. A couple of highlights. We have 2 new outreach liaison roles for our Indigenous Student Center and Black Student Advising Center. We increased funding to create new peer wellness mentors for students of African descent. We updated our equity policy to include sexual orientation and gender. And we're working on the performance indicators on all of this strategy. We know from our community census that our representation of racially visible persons and Indigenous persons continues to improve. Full-time and permanent part-time faculty and staff are closing the labor market gap. And as I said at the beginning, I was so pleased to see that we are at or near full representation of our Indigenous employees. I just want to stop again and say, you know, one of the reasons, if I go back to the beginning, remember he said how we, you know, our plan together began with listening and getting underneath the facts. And one of the reasons we were focused on this, I mean, many of us feel that it's an important value, but it was by looking at the facts. It was saying that, you know, when you look at the population of Nova Scotia, the labor market availability, and you look at Dalhousie, we weren't as representative as our own labor force. So we had gaps. So we weren't, and our values, of course, as an institution of higher learning, of course you want to be open to everyone, because you know you're going to be a weak institution if you exclude anyone based on their identity, right? So you want to have as wide a funnel as possible. So there was a gap between our vision and our reality, and our community now has closed that gap. We've closed it in symbolic ways, and you've seen the symbolic things over the years, like the Mi'kmaq flag being raised, how we talk about TRC, how we talk about Indigenous scholars, African Nova Scotian scholars. You've seen it in investments, our Elders in Residence program, some of the things I've reported. What I love now is seeing the results, our hiring actually shifting, because that also reflects the decisions each of you are all making in hiring committees to embrace this. And I think it's fantastic. I mean, I love the mission and vision of the university, but I love even more when our actions align up with our vision and mission and we start to achieve that kind of progress. So thank you all. I'm going to end with infrastructure and building. Someone said to me, I don't know the numbers on this, that apparently over the last few years it's been the largest building boom since the 60s across the campus. And I'm very pleased that all those projects, I won't go into all the details, but they're all fully kind of funded without relying on tuition dollars. They're donor, government, you know, there's lots of different things. In some cases, some new student fees that the students have voted in. But I'm really proud of not the scale of what we've achieved, but also the way we financed it in a way that has minimized debt and minimized strain on future resources. So first, completing this year, we'll have the grand opening soon, we're still working on dates, is our IDEA project. It's a $64 million revitalization of the Sexton campus. It was born out of a risk on engineering accreditation. We were warned twice the facilities weren't sufficient. But then it was kind of catalyzed by community support for things like innovation entrepreneurship, a gift from Mira. That project now, the scale of it, when we're done, the Sexton Engineering and Architecture campus, fully half the space, fully half of the 400,000 square feet, 200,000 square feet will be either new or renovated when we're done. It's a remarkable impact, especially actually for the cost, because that averages about $300 a square foot, which is incredible for institutional space. So it's really quite remarkable to see, and I can't wait for it to open up. Our Ag campus, absent the fire today, which we'll deal with, but we launched our new $24 million biomass plant renewal, and it delivered its first power. We have a new learning commons completed this spring, and of course our renovation to the animal center up there. We've completed a $26 million renovation of the dentistry clinic, and that's coming to an end. We have a few things up our sleeve, including what's happening with the Performing Arts Center. In fact, I have a great dinner tonight with some supporters, and I hope that this fall we'll be ready for a major announcement on what will happen with the arts. Other things happening to keep in mind in the year ahead, we've been thinking about physical accessibility, an important dimension of diversity. We're an older campus. So our physical accessibility is not great, as many of you know. There's new legislation in Nova Scotia. We've been starting to squirrel away a bit of money. One of the things we have to do is, to fund this, one of the things we have to do is create a governance structure so that we can hear from those who are physically impaired to help prioritize the needs across our campus. Because of course we're not going to be able to do it all at once. I had my own ideas about what we need to do first, and I thought, you know, we need to pause and hear from the community. So expect to hear more about that this year as that's all assembled, especially under the leadership of VP Ian Nason. Lots of work to continue to improve our campus spaces, upgrades in washrooms, teaching and learning spaces, $4.2 million in renovation to research labs and equipment. But the video, and here's where I'm finally going to end, and we can turn it over to comments and questions, is one of the most exciting new facilities for us this year, opened last month, and that's our new Dalplex Fitness Center. I want to make the point that was entirely funded by students, and it was actually voted in before I arrived, that students said, look, we need a better fitness facility, and I don't think we could all agree any more that that's absolutely true. Staff worked tirelessly over the last few years to try to get something that would meet the needs of the community and come in at a reasonable cost. So it took terrific work. I don't know about you, but I love the results of this, and it's just a fantastic facility. I particularly love it because our tours for new students often start at Sheriff. So they come from Sheriff Hall and they come up and they'll see that brand new athletic facility. It's wonderful. Why don't we just cut to the video, Aaron?
So when the Dalplex first opened in 1979, the student population at Dal was 6,000 to 7,000 students. We currently are pushing 19,000 students today. This facility is much needed, and we're hoping the students are going to thoroughly enjoy it.
So when I think about all the exciting new elements to the building, it's naturally lit, it's temperature controlled, there's a 14,000 square foot fitness hall with brand new equipment, cardio and strength and conditioning. We have 3 new change rooms, male, female, and one for everyone. There's a high performance center in the new building as well, which will provide unique and specific training opportunities for students, student athletes, and members. And finally, we have 4 new fitness studios with the new fitness center combined with the field house renovations, combined with our pool. There's nothing like us in the HRM. And so we're thrilled to have this expansion and make these improvements that will be a huge asset to our community and our campus.
I think a big advantage to having this new space is that during exam time, workout space won't be taken away when there needs to be the setup for the desks. Like, there won't have to be that changeover, and then people are still able to work out and exams can still happen.
I'm excited for a space where I want to go to work out. Growing up in the community, I always liked coming here, but this new space, it's exciting and everyone will want to come here a lot more.
So check it out if you haven't. It's a great facility. Yeah. Look, let me just end by saying, before I turn over to questions, we're in the final year of our strategic plan. I love the sense of momentum on campus. I see that so much of this is embedded now in people's everyday work, what we're trying to do in our strategic directions. I hope you're as excited as I am about the progress that we've made this year. If I can leave you with one summary idea again, I hope that this year and the presentation has demonstrated, again, what we can achieve when we bring together the best of Dalhousie with the best of the region, the best in the world, right? We've been able to show that what we can achieve is not just creating great learning outcomes and great research. We can strengthen Dal, we can strengthen our communities, and we can quite literally build a better world. So thank you all very much for a great year. So with that, I know I went a bit late, but we still have a half hour in this room. So we can take questions. We've got some online and Twitter coming from over here. I'll take any questions and send the hard ones to my VPs. So questions, comments, please. Marianne?
I just wanted to say on behalf of myself, the Dal community, and the outside community, we really appreciate everything that you've given back to us over these past years, and we wish you all the very best. Thank you very much.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. That's very kind of you. I just want to say, and I said it in my application letter when I applied for the job in 2012, I thought we could unlock potential. So it's all of you who've done this, right? I've just tried to kind of unlock along the way. There's great potential in this community, and you're starting to see it. And so just continue. Just continue. I think you had did you have another question here? Comment? No? No? Is that just a look? Just a look? Yeah, just a smile. We had one right here, Karen. Yeah.
Good morning, President. My name is Michael Shaw from Hong Kong. I'm a visitor here. It was 7 years ago when I first came to Halifax for the first time. And since then, I came here every year. And the last time I came here was October last year. I see that the city has changed a lot.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Particularly in the past 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
And obviously, Dalhousie has obviously changed a lot in your leadership, under your leadership. And it's a bit sad to know that you'll be joining the guru over in Ontario. Nonetheless, I'm very appreciative of your presentation just now, highlighting the different dimensions. And coming from the Hong Kong or Asian perspective, I was looking forward to, maybe not for now, but in the next presentation by the next president, to hear a little bit more on the internationalization dimension, teaching, research. I also come to look for opportunity on the commercialization, marketization, entrepreneurship, experiential learning outside this part of the country. And I think that in that regard, probably that would become not only the leader in this region, but also will be at par with all the leaders in Ontario and British Columbia, which some of the Asian people are a little bit more familiar with. And I look forward to that era for the next...
Indeed.
Yeah.
No, look, I think you're absolutely right. Thank you if I can offer a few comments on it. I mean, DAL is first off, we're a uniquely national and international institution. So when you look at our student body, one of the things we're proud to say is we train more Nova Scotians than any other university. There's 10 universities in Nova Scotia, but we train more than anyone else. But we also have a higher percentage of out-of-province and international students than any other big research university in Canada. Over half our students, 60% of them, come from out of province or international, right? That mix. So it gives us a very national and international character, and it speaks to the quality. People really want to come here. At the same time, my belief, what I've seen about the power of DAL is we're this great national and international institution. In the last 6 years, what we saw is we live in a region that has a lot of terrific challenges. And the question became, how can you use that national, international strength, sustain it and build it, but also contribute to the community? Let me give you an example. You know, I'm a graduate of MIT. I also worked at Cambridge. Those universities, the thing I found, when I came here, people sort of played it out as a tension, like, oh, you have to be great globally or you're great locally. And if you focus on local, then you're not going to be great globally. Well, in my experience, the great global universities, MIT, Cambridge, they reconcile the two. Right, the way that so I can tell you that MIT is passionately concerned about Cambridge, Massachusetts, about its city that it's in, and I think the opportunity comes from blending the two. And again, sorry to go to ocean science again, but I could talk about it in health, I guess, as well. But that's what we've done in ocean science. We've said, okay, the ocean, what could be more important to Atlantic Canada? Fisheries, our environment. So not just our economy, but our environment, our culture is tied to the ocean. But what's more important globally? Right? It's a huge carbon sink. 40% of the world's oxygen comes from the world's oceans through phytoplankton. 50% of the world's population relies on the ocean for some form of protein. So how can you take that global challenge where you have global excellence but also make a difference here? Well, it's by creating new institutes, new partnerships, supercluster, where you're contributing to this global issue, creating the great global partnerships, including with China, by the way, great partnerships in Qingdao, with Shandong University, with Ocean University China, in Nanjing, but also make a difference at home. So that's been the idea. I would agree with you that internationalization it's always been an issue and it's been a priority under my administration. You're probably right that it might be even more of a priority now that we've kind of contributed more to the regional and national as a regional and national catalyst. We want to continue that, but internationalization is going to continue to be a big part of that. If I can say one last thing, I'm wonderful to welcome you here from Hong Kong. Because we have so many great alumni from Hong Kong, and I love visiting with them and hearing from them. You know, they talk about the time when they were here. Many of them, because we don't get so many students from Hong Kong now because they have their own great universities. But 50 years ago, we had many folks coming here from Hong Kong, and they speak about this university and the tremendous impact it had on them. And so we're very pleased to welcome you. Thank you for being here. Now, other questions or comments? Steve.
Great job on the update for the community. One question is on the MIT REAP program. Any updates on the MIT REAP, and what is the connection with the ocean supercluster?
Yeah, so all of these things kind of connect. So just to give you a sense of what Steve's talking about. So MIT REAP is the Regional Entrepreneurship Accelerator Program. So MIT, one of the metrics they record. So when you look at universities that have had a great impact on the community, one of the things MIT is known for is when you add up the economic value of all the companies started by MIT alumni. There was a study a few years ago that said it was equal to $2 trillion in revenue, which would make them the world's 10th largest economy. So, it's just one metric, but it's saying that in terms of their impact on innovation and economic development, it's very profound. Now, you're not going to become MIT tomorrow, but it gives you a sense of what's possible, right? What's possible through research and innovation. So every year, MIT selects half a dozen jurisdictions to work with them through this thing called REAP, Regional Entrepreneurship Accelerator Program, to transfer and develop some of that knowledge, to work with teams from around the world, and to transfer some of that thinking and develop some of that thinking. So 2 years ago, I was very pleased when Nova Scotia was selected. We were the first Canadian team selected to join REAP. We joined with 5 other jurisdictions. We were there with Dubai, Iceland, Lagos, Nigeria, Madrid, Spain, and Lima, Peru. And so those were the 6 of us, very different jurisdictions, and we learned so much from each other. What I can say is that effort, it involved a lot of the same personalities you saw here. So for example, Chris Huskelson, who was part of Amira, who contributed to IDEA Project, he was part of the REAP team, as was John Risley, who made the $25 million contribution to OFI. We've got folks now like Cher Chapman, who's CEO of DGI Global, who's going to be, or Clinical, who's going to be doing some work that actually will be announced. I won't say it because it'll be announced this afternoon or tomorrow about our new backbone organization. But to answer your question directly, what REAP has done for us is it gave us a bit of a shared language among the team on how we want to approach projects like ideas, like the supercluster, like OFI. It gave us confidence that we were on the right track because we were able to take some of those ideas and test them with the MIT faculty and to test them with some of our global peers. It also gave us some international connections. So Team Norway was in a prior REAP cohort. We've established a strong connection with them, and here's why. Norway has 1/7 the population of Canada, but its ocean economy is 7 times larger. And they've used a cluster approach, including the MIT framework. And so one of the things we did before our final supercluster proposal is we went to Norway and we sat down and talked to them about how they approach this, how they're capturing that economic opportunity, what their approaches and governance structures are, and that has directly influenced the supercluster governance structure. It's created a partnership with Norway such that the Norwegians came, and here's another connection, the Norwegians came for our launch of Creative Destruction Lab. so it's building, it's helped to inform, in summary what I'd say is it's helped to inform our approach. It's given us confidence because we're getting peer reviewed in a sense, right? We're running our ideas by some of the very best. And it's continued these international partnerships that will continue to strengthen DAL as we advance the ocean economy. So thanks for the question. Please.
One of our Twitter followers, Dalhousie Dad, has a question.
Dal Dad, I remember him well. I helped his daughter move in the fall. Yeah. Yeah.
And in a related note, his daughter is a student and would like a street party like Queen's. He says, I know the pitfalls, and actually he doesn't support having one, but can we,
absolutely, yeah,
do an event like it?
Well, what we've realized, and maybe I'll ask Sheila to comment on this. I'll give her a moment. I'll just say a few things overall, and I'll pass the mic over to you. So homecoming, sometimes things get too successful, and what I mean by that is Dal didn't have much of homecoming, right? And it has grown over the years, and we've done great things like the President's Fun Run, and we do all kinds of fun stuff, and alumni come back. What we found is there's kind of a celebratory culture, and that's good too. Where I get concerned and I draw the line is when you have an unsafe environment. And so that's what happened last fall, is I got alarmed when students were on rooftops and things were getting a little out of control on the street, because I could just see what was going to happen, and that's where the police came in and others came in. So then the question is, well, what do you do about that so it doesn't happen again? Well, we can't guarantee it won't happen again, right? These are independent adults, and they're off campus, and so they'll make their own responsible choices. But what we have learned from sitting down with students is that we can plan some different events, give them some alternate events. And so there's been a committee, a group working on this, planning for homecoming. Sheila, I don't know if you want to comment a little bit on this and how this is taking shape. I know we've been working with the DSU and others on it as well.
So for Dal Dad, who follows me on Twitter, we are going to work with DSU, and we will have a party in the quad that's student-focused, but the students are going to be creating an atmosphere where alum can come and interact with the students. So the student societies will have tables throughout the quad so that we can learn about what the societies are doing. There will be entertainment. There'll be a band that both appeals to alum who will be on campus and also to the student body. There will be a beer tent, which will hopefully attract the students to do any consumption of alcohol on the quad as opposed to going into the neighborhood. And we'll promote that as an opportunity for alum to interact with the students during homecoming and for the students to be inspired by the alum. And we're working with athletics. There'll be a football game and a hockey game. And so we're hoping that the combination of all of this activity, that homecoming will be safe, but also be fun.
So no street party, but a great quad party is what's in the works. There we go. Other thoughts or questions? Going once? Going twice? Anything else online? Anyone other? Well, look, let me wrap up by again saying thank you to all of you for a great year. We've got a few more surprises in the 6 months ahead and some great stuff happening, and look forward to working with all of you to continue to move Dal forward. We've got a bit of a reception. I can stick around for a few minutes. I'm going to have to run because I want to go to the meeting with the Rose School of Business downtown in about 15 minutes. But I'll catch you all for a beverage and a chit-chat, or send me an email or a note anytime. Thank you all very much.